Joining us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. If you've been listening and hanging with Hendricks and Hennig, you would know that this is the man who told you that the Sixers were a dark horse. Not last week, not 5 days ago, months ago. So this wasn't a come lately kind of guy. It's also the man who told you LeBron was going to go to the LA Lakers. So the one and only Brandon Robinson. Follow him on Twitter at ScoopB on Twitter. And Brandon, we got to let the people know that you were the head of the curve, not some of these come latelys.
Yeah. What's up, fellas?
You can pat yourself on the back a little bit. You're allowed to here.
Listen, I done went and got a pedicure, took myself out to the Dominican restaurant to eat. I done ate healthy all weekend. Hey, man, if they don't know, they about to know. I'm thankful to be on a platform where I can be myself, and you guys give me my props. But, listen, it is what it is. People are name-sensitive and name-driven, and Brandon "ScoopB" Robinson is in the conversation, even if they don't want to admit it.
Well, B, let's first touch on the specifics of this deal, because to me, the fact that the Sixers didn't give up a first-round pick and the fact they got rid of the abomination, which is Jared Bayless's contract, was so huge, because they didn't just get Jimmy Butler, but they didn't give up the farm, and they got rid of Bayless's contract, which allows them to keep that salary cap flexibility.
Well, the Jared Bayless thing is the thing that I've been telling you guys on your show the Sixers were trying to get rid of. And that was what prevented Jamal Crawford to becoming a Philadelphia 76er back in the summertime, which I reported all summer. And they found a way to really do it. I mean, even going into the summertime, there was talk with the Cleveland Cavaliers between the Cavs and the Sixers about, getting Kyle Korver. And Jared Bayless was part of those talks, and they stalled. I can be very honest and frank with you because he's gone. Jared Bayless was a Colangelo guy. And to be more honest with you, Colangelo signed Jared Bayless as a favor to Jared Bayless's trainer. Colangelo, going back to his days as an executive with the Phoenix Suns, he signed Jared Bayless as a favor, Jared Bayless being from the Arizona area. So that was what brought that in. But it's a new regime now in Philadelphia. Elton Brand making the first big splash. I said this on Twitter about a month ago. Elton Brand is a Duke guy. So is NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. And I said on Twitter a month ago that if Elton Brand, who was an unknown to many people on the executive side, was able to make a big splash in a trade or free agency, what have you, he would be setting the tone in Philadelphia. The same way that Commissioner Adam Silver did during the Clippers time where, he banned Donald Sterling as the owner of that team. And I feel like Elton Brand has really set a standard early on in bringing Jimmy Butler there. So to get rid of Dario, to get rid of Robert Covington and Jared Bayless in order to bring in Jimmy Butler. Pretty smart move and a savvy move on Elton Brand's part.
Scoop, when I look at this move, obviously it can go one or two ways. It can go really, really well, or it can just snowball and really look bad. When I look at it more deep, obviously Jimmy Butler had problems in Minnesota as far as the young guys not being on his level as far as a competitive standpoint. When you look at Philadelphia, I don't think you'll have that problem with Joel Embiid. But when you look at Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons, not saying that those guys don't want to win, but they obviously have the same problem as far as shooting. While Fultz has worked on it more than Simmons, in my opinion, can Jimmy be that guy that says, hey, listen, you need to do this in order for us to reach the ultimate goal? Or do you see this as a similar Minnesota situation?
No, I think it's different than Minnesota, if I can be very transparent with you. Knowing some of the inner workings of what was going on in that Timberwolves locker room, I can share with you that Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns did not respond to Jimmy because Jimmy had his foot on their neck, and they didn't know how to respond to that. What I can say about Joel Embiid and what I can say about Ben Simmons is they want to learn. But more than anything, they're professionals themselves. Jimmy Butler's 29. He's been there, done that, bought the T-shirt, has gone to the playoffs, and is a blue-collar all-star. And I think that when you look at the fact that you're already in Philadelphia and you're used to fans being rough on you, having a team player in your face. I mean, this is the guy who played with the third string in Minnesota in his first time back with the team and was yelling at the owner, "You need me." Bro, if you bring that intensity to Philadelphia in the Eastern Conference, you're going to win. Rapper Gilly the Kid told me that he went on record with me a couple of weeks ago and said the Sixers are going to win the NBA Finals. And so if I'm going with what Gilly said, I'm going with the fact that Jimmy Butler is a guy, not only just offensively that brings it, defensively brings it. I was with Ben Simmons at the NBA 2K19 party launch in Brooklyn a couple months ago. And we were discussing the whole Jamal Crawford to Philadelphia that never happened. And you know, his eyes lit up when I talked about the notion of Jamal coming to the Sixers. And I haven't talked to Ben since then, but what I will say is that when you look at what Jimmy brings to the table, that is Jamal Crawford, a younger Jamal Crawford on steroids, also much taller. But I think it's his defensive intensity that he brings night in, night out. But I also think that in addition to all of that, it's not like these guys aren't competitive, but I think what the problem with the Sixers is this. Last season, nobody expected them to do as well as they did. This season, the cat is out the bag because people have video and have something to go on to support how they play. Markelle, I think he needs a foot in his butt, and I think Jimmy Butler coming in as a start.
And it's funny that you mentioned Markelle. Let's go deeper into this. Obviously, Markelle Fultz's story has been well documented. You look at this year, while he has shown a lot of struggles as far as his shot, he has shown a lot of glimpses of what we thought we were getting when he came out of the draft. His recent game, he went 7 of 9. He scored 14 points. But again, watch T.J. McConnell and Landry Shamet of all play in the guts of the game against the Grizzlies. Do you believe that Brett Brown, honestly, because Markelle Fultz, let's be honest, is a Colangelo guy, do you believe that he's getting a fair shot in Philly?
I think Markelle Fultz has a balance of dealing with fans who now have trusted the process and now want to see the process on a platter. And I also think, I've never said this to you on the show, Markelle Fultz is dealing with the fact that he actually has to produce. Last year was a test run, and what many people don't know is the reason why Markelle Fultz struggled last season and why he was out for so long is because he had a motorcycle accident that was covered up. That's why his shooting shoulder was messed up. So now you're going into a situation where people have a lot of expectations for you, and they want you to do it right away. So you change the rotation of your shoulder, or rather the rotation of your shooting touch. People are wondering whether he'll respond to that. I'll tell you that I like the fact that Jimmy Butler is with that team because it kind of co-signs the theory that Zach LaVine told me a couple weeks ago in Chicago that he's ready. I want to believe it. But I think he needed an extra push. You legitimately were depending on Markelle Fultz to be that splash guy that you were trying to find in free agency this offseason. You stuck out with Paul George. You stuck out with LeBron. You got Jimmy Butler. I don't look at him as the star that maybe people thought he was going to be, but I do think he's a complimentary star player.
Focusing on Fultz, you mentioned about what caused that shoulder injury. Is it sometimes we overlook the fact, and to me this is so obvious, and again, maybe part of it because I'm in my 30s, and I remember what it was like to be 18, 19, 20, 21, that we forget that Fultz, Simmons, these guys are so young and they're so inexperienced. They don't have the life experience. They don't have the professional experience that someone maybe like a Jimmy Butler does. So maybe someone like Butler can say things to them that can't be said by other people because those people haven't been where these young guys are.
I would agree with you. I think that when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and you even saw this with Jalen Loco for, coming into Philadelphia and speeding under Ben Franklin. I think a lot of people were hard on him, but at the same time, he's an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old with money, access, opportunity, and they're trying to figure it all out while still being a freaking teenager. And so I think that that's a difficult act, but I also think if someone like Jimmy Butler, who's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, is there, he can guide them. I think that he is the modern-day Steven Jackson for that Philadelphia 76ers team. I think that's why he and Stack 5 get along so well, because he's a young OG in that sense. But I think that more than anything, Jimmy kind of gets some self-preservation, if you will. You have a Ben Simmons who can focus on running the offense rather than whether his jumper is falling. You got an Embiid who can draw a double team in the post and kick it out to an open Jimmy who can slash, jump, or take a jumper or more. And you have a T.J. McConnell who can defend well and can also get an open jumper. And you also have a J.J. Redick. So I think you have I feel like the 76ers are having a late off season and acquiring Jimmy Butler. They also get Patton, and I think that more than anything, you get a chance to really get a reprieve, and it's going to take some time to gel. Just because Jimmy's on Philly doesn't mean they're going to win it right away. It takes some time. But I do think that you have somebody who's been there, done it, that they respect. I like their chances in the Eastern Conference.
Wow, Scoop, I really want to go back to that motorcycle thing that you just said, because a lot of people, and I won't obviously mention their names, talked to me behind closed doors and mentioned the same type of thing. Again, hindsight being 2020, is this something that he is healing from, do you know of, or is this something that is a long term? Because it's been more than a year, and the last time we see Markelle Fultz be the regular Markelle Fultz was this last year's Summer League.
I can tell you that conversation was had between myself and a celebrity. I won't name their name, but I will tell you that they told me that, and they told me that injury lingered for a while, and that's why he's out, and that there were some things that were going on behind the scenes with his trainer. He had to switch trainers, and as a result, the combination of the motorcycle accident, the combination of trainers, and the conversation, or rather the combination of his motivation or his confidence hindered all of that. And so you go into this season looking to eradicate all of those things that were headlines at the beginning of last season. I don't know, as far as the injury that was told to me, I don't know if that is still a lingering thing, but you look at how he would shoot the free throws, and it's like,
Yep.
But I do think that injury definitely hurt his confidence. I definitely think that injury definitely deflated a situation where he could have came in and the last season and really dominated. You look at other guys who came out of that draft that were your peers, and Tatum and some of those other guys in Utah, Donovan Mitchell and more, and then you're sitting in Philadelphia, kind of just the odd man out. That has to be disheartening for Markelle Fultz. So, really and truly, like I said, I know Jamal Crawford comes up in every conversation that we have, but I will tell you that Jamal Crawford and Markelle and even Zach LaVine, they worked out this summer, Jamal told me, and just the way that they were preparing for this season, you knew that this was going to be a special season. And I told you I ran into Zach LaVine in Chicago, and he told me that he was ready, talking about Markelle Fultz. And so now with Jimmy Butler, I really believe that the time is now, and I think that they have an opportunity to really do something special. And if I go with what Gilly says, they win in the finals. I think that's a little far-fetched. I respect Gilly, that's my guy. But, really and truly, I'm hoping that Jimmy Butler is the spark that the Sixers need, offensively, defensively, and to motivate Markelle to be the good player that everybody in Philadelphia believes he can be.
Brandon Robinson, you can follow my Twitter at ScoopB on Twitter, joining us on the Boardwalk Out of Hotline on 97.3 ESPN. Brandon, I want to go a little bit more macro picture now with the Sixers acquiring Jimmy Butler. Where does that place them in the Eastern Conference? And part B of that question is, how many more moves do you think the Sixers will make, and how will those moves elevate them as well?
Well, I'll go to the second question about the moves that can be made. A report came out by my colleague, Chris Sheridan, that the Philadelphia 76ers could acquire Carmelo Anthony if he clears waivers now and is waived by the Houston Rockets. And I do think, contrary to many people, that would be a good spot. Philadelphia would be a good spot for Melo because they have a plethora of other guys that complement his shooting style. I think that what people thought the Rockets were going to be this season truly is what the Sixers could be. You have Embiid at the center position. You have Ben Simmons, who can dish the ball, who can create his own shot. You have a Jimmy Butler who is their go-to swingman, and Carmelo complements them. So if that does happen, he's still under contract with the Houston Rockets, that would be a good fit, in my opinion. I'm not tied into that. I'm just going by what was said on Twitter. I'm actually off today. But what I will say is, as far as the trajectory of the Philadelphia 76ers this season, I mean, you look at just the Eastern Conference at large. Many people thought the Eastern Conference was going to be a bust with LeBron heading over to the Western Conference. Really and truly, the team that could potentially compete with the Western Conference is in first place in the Eastern Conference, and that's the Toronto Raptors. Kawhi Leonard is quietly being Kawhi Leonard, minus the laugh, and playing lights out for that team. Kyle Lowry, alum of Cardinal Dockery High School in Philadelphia, is guiding that ship, and Nick Nurse is being the coach that many in that Toronto brain trust thought he would be. They passed up, Jerry Stackhouse as the head coach to hire Nick Nurse, and you look at the Boston Celtics. I mean, they get everybody back, and they get a healed Gordon Hayward and a Jason Tatum who now knows his role as a budding all-star. And so you look at Philadelphia, before Jimmy Butler, you wondered if they can compete. Adding Jimmy Butler, some may argue the Sixers are higher up in the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference conversation. I like the Sixers' chances.
Okay, and again, obviously, listen to the ScoopB radio podcast, streaming everywhere, ScoopB.com. Brandon Robinson, we thank you again, and obviously it was great to clear the air. Give him a follow at ScoopB on Twitter. That's at ScoopB. Listen, he's dropping NBA knowledge every day, and if you want to know what's going on with the latest, he's a must follow. Thank you again, Brandon.
Gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be myself.